What if you could witness the entire story of humanity in just one journey? From Stardust to smartphones, from forgotten caves to soaring civilizations, this is not just a history lesson. It's your story. The ultimate tale of survival, discovery, and transformation. So sit back, take a deep breath, and let's travel through time. Long before humans walked the Earth, the universe was forging the ingredients for life. Around 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang gave birth to space and time. In that blinding instant, all matter, energy, and physical laws erupted into existence. Over eons, stars ignited, galaxies spun, and heavy elements were born in the fiery deaths of supernovae. Earth itself formed around 4.5 billion years ago, a molten sphere cooling in the vast void. The primordial Earth was unrecognizable, a toxic atmosphere of nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and water vapor shrouded a landscape scarred by asteroid impacts. In this hostile world, lightning strikes and volcanic activity created the chemical precursors of life. Somewhere in Earth's early oceans, around 3.8 billion years ago, molecules began to self-replicate. Life arose not from a miracle, but from chemistry. Bacteria dominated for billions of years before complex organisms evolved. The Great Oxygenation Event, when cyanobacteria filled our atmosphere with oxygen, was both apocalypse and opportunity, killing anaerobic life while enabling more complex forms. By the time dinosaurs roamed, mammals had already begun their slow ascent. When an asteroid struck Earth 66 million years ago, it cleared the evolutionary stage for mammals to diversify and thrive. Eventually, in the savannas of Africa, a new creature emerged. Upright, curious, and clever, we share ancestry with countless life forms, but our path would diverge. From Australopithecus to Homo habilis, evolution shaped beings with bigger brains and better tools. Yet, we were still not us. Our species, Homo sapiens, appeared around 300,000 years ago. But at first, we were just another primate, surviving like any other. What would make us different wasn't strength or size. It was the spark of imagination. And that spark would change the world. As stars birthed our world, life's first sparks ignited in time's shadows. Our journey was yet to come. In the cosmos, we find we are part of something greater, where the universe begins, and so do we. With the arrival of Homo sapiens, a subtle revolution unfolded. We developed language, not just grunts and gestures, but complex speech that carried thoughts, warnings, dreams. This was our superpower. Around 70,000 years ago, the cognitive revolution reshaped our species. We began creating art, telling stories, and believing in things we could not see. In caves across Europe and Asia, animals danced in ochre and charcoal. The 40,000-year-old Lion Man, figurine from Germany, part human, part beast, revealed minds capable of imagining what did not exist. Burial sites revealed ritual and emotion. We were no longer just surviving. We were beginning to understand ourselves. We lived in tribes, hunting and gathering in balance with nature. Our brains, optimized for cooperation and memory, allowed us to plan hunts, build shelters, and care for one another. These early humans were not primitive. They were astronomers who tracked celestial movements, engineers who crafted specialized tools, and poets who passed knowledge through oral tradition. Other humans walked the earth too. Neanderthals in Europe, Denisovans in Asia, Homo floresiensis in Indonesia, a tapestry of human diversity. We interbred, competed, and coexisted, but over time, only one species remained, us. Our DNA still carries fragments of these lost cousins, up to 4% Neanderthal in non-African populations, a legacy of ancient encounters. And then, something extraordinary happened. We spread. From Africa, our ancestors migrated to every corner of the globe. They crossed ice bridges into the Americas around 16,000 years ago, sailed island to island through the Pacific, braved arid deserts and frozen tundras. In just a few millennia, humanity became a global species. These journeys were not just physical, but cultural, each group adapting, innovating, and creating distinct ways of life. The Earth, once wild and indifferent, now echoed with our footsteps, but we had only begun to leave our mark. A new way of life was stirring, one that would reshape the planet and define the future of humankind. From the primordial landscapes of our ancestors, the first sparks of consciousness ignited. Our ancestors learned to shape their world, to build, to create. the dawn of agriculture would change everything, setting the stage for the rise of civilization itself. Roughly 12,000 years ago, as the Ice Age retreated, in a few scattered corners of the world, our ancestors planted seeds, and with them, planted the roots of civilization. The agricultural revolution began quietly, in places like the Fertile Crescent, the Yangtze Valley, the Central American Highlands, the Andes, and the Niger River Basin in Africa, independent innovations that would transform human existence. Grains like wheat, barley, and rice were cultivated. Wild teosinte was slowly transformed into maize through selective breeding. Animals like sheep, goats, and cattle were tamed. For the first time, humans produced more food than they consumed. This abundance changed everything. We stopped wandering. Villages formed. Populations grew. And with that growth came complexity. Food surpluses allowed some to specialize as artisans, priests, and leaders. Societies stratified. Hierarchies emerged. Wealth and power concentrated. Cities rose from the soil. Jericho in the Levant with its massive stone tower by 8000 BCE. Çatalhöyük in Turkey with its densely packed mud brick houses. Uruk in Mesopotamia, and later Mohenjo-Daro in the Indus Valley. People built temples. To gods they believed controlled the rains and harvests. Writing systems emerged to record trade, law, and legend, from cuneiform in Sumer to glyphs in Mesoamerica. But with stability came struggle. Our diet narrowed, and our health often suffered. Diseases spread more easily in settled communities. Land was contested, walls were built, armies assembled. The first empires took shape, built on conquest and control. Still, the agricultural revolution laid the foundation for all that would come. It gave us permanence, memory, and structure. It also gave us inequality, disease, and environmental strain. It was, in every sense, a double-edged plow. Yet it set humanity on an irreversible path, one toward cities, kingdoms, and the rise of something never before seen on Earth: civilization. With agriculture came abundance, and with abundance, the foundations of empires. In the rise of cities, kingdoms were born, and history began to take its shape. The road from the soil to civilization was paved with both innovation and conflict. As agriculture flourished, powerful civilizations emerged. In Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and China, humanity entered a golden age of innovation and inequality. Rulers governed through laws and divine authority. Empires rose from ambition, war, and the desire to control land and people. In Sumer, kings claimed mandates from the gods, and ziggurats towered over marketplaces where the world's first written laws, the Code of Hammurabi, regulated justice and commerce. In Egypt, pharaohs constructed pyramids as eternal testaments to divine power, while their scribes recorded medicine, mathematics, and poetry on papyrus scrolls. In the Indus Valley, engineers laid out cities like Harappa with plumbing and precise grid patterns centuries before Rome. In China, dynasties recorded history and built massive walls, while developing silk production and bronze casting techniques unmatched in the world. With civilization came complexity, bureaucracy, taxation, armies, and slavery. Writing systems became tools of administration and mythology. Bronze and later iron reshaped weapons and tools. Religions emerged to unite people with shared purpose, or control them through fear. But alongside power came progress. The Babylonians developed sophisticated mathematics, including algebra and astronomy. Egyptian engineers built structures that would stand for millennia. Greek city-states experimented with democracy in Athens, and military discipline in Sparta. Indian philosophers contemplated the nature of existence and developed elaborate ethical systems. Trade routes spread goods and ideas across continents. Phoenician merchants carried alphabetic writing throughout the Mediterranean. The Persian Royal Road stretched 1,600 miles, enabling communication across an empire of many languages and cultures. Civilizations learned from each other, even as they clashed. This was humanity's first attempt to organize itself at scale. The results were breathtaking and brutal. Glory and ruin often walked hand in hand. The Library of Alexandria gathered knowledge from across the known world, while armies razed entire cities. Yet each empire, no matter how mighty, eventually fell. Still, the ideas they left behind would echo through history. Humanity had learned to build. Next, we would learn to question. As empires rose, so too did ideas. In the shadows of temples and palaces, thinkers began to question the very fabric of existence. It was in this fertile ground of culture and philosophy that the seeds of science and religion would sprout. Around 2,500 years ago, a wave of thought swept across multiple civilizations, a time historians call the Axial Age. It was an era when human beings began asking deeper questions. Why are we here? What is justice? What is the meaning of life? In India, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, taught that desire causes suffering and offered an eightfold path to liberation. In China, Confucius emphasized ethics, duty, and harmony through proper relationships, while Laozi's Taoism sought alignment with nature's rhythms. In Greece, Socrates questioned authority and died for it, while his student Plato envisioned ideal forms and his student Aristotle cataloged the natural world through empirical observation. In Persia, Zoroaster spoke of good and evil as cosmic forces, and in Judea, prophets like Isaiah called for justice and compassion over empty ritual. These were more than spiritual or philosophical movements. They were revolutions of the mind. They shifted power from the sword to the word, from fear to understanding. For the first time, vast numbers of people began organizing their lives around moral codes and shared ideals. Religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, and later Christianity and Islam would go on to shape billions of lives. Their scriptures offered guidance and identity, but also sparked conflict and division. Christianity grew from a persecuted sect to the official religion of Rome. Islam united the Arabian Peninsula and expanded across 3 continents within a century of Muhammad's revelations. Meanwhile, scientific inquiry slowly emerged. The Greek Eratosthenes calculated Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy. Ptolemy mapped the heavens. Indian scholars like Aryabhata calculated the Earth's rotation and the value of pi. In the Islamic Golden Age, scholars in Baghdad's House of Wisdom preserved ancient texts while Al-Khwarizmi developed algebra, and Ibn al-Haytham pioneered the scientific method through his work on optics. The Age of Ideas didn't end. It expanded, seeding the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and the modern world. It taught us to question, to seek, to doubt, and to dream. The mind had awoken. Now it was time for the world to change. As ideas sparked minds, empires rose to claim the world. Power and thought collided, shaping the course of history. With belief systems and philosophies came ambition, not just to rule, but to unify. Empires swelled across continents, driven by conquest, commerce, and culture. Rome forged roads that stretched thousands of miles, linking provinces under law and Latin. At its height, 1 in 4 humans lived under Roman rule. The Pax Romana, Roman peace, allowed goods and ideas to flow across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East for 2 centuries. Persia connected East and West with an imperial postal system and religious tolerance under rulers like Cyrus the Great. The Maurya and Gupta empires advanced science and art in the Indian subcontinent, with Ashoka spreading Buddhist principles through stone edicts across South Asia. In China, the Han Dynasty built a civil service based on merit examinations that would inspire governments for centuries. In the Americas, the Maya mapped the heavens with astonishing precision and developed a writing system in isolation, while the Inca built a 25,000-mile road network across the challenging terrain of the Andes without wheeled vehicles. In Africa, the kingdoms of Kush and Aksum dominated trade routes linking Africa to the Mediterranean and Indian Ocean, while Mali's wealth in gold made Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca legendary. His generosity reportedly devalued gold in Egypt for years. The Silk Road carried silk, spices, and ideas from China to Rome. Buddhist monks traveled alongside Muslim merchants and Christian missionaries. This was the first true globalization, not of internet and industry, but of camels, caravans, and curiosity. But with power came brutality. Slavery, colonization, and forced labor built the foundations of many empires. Millions were displaced or destroyed in the name of glory. Roman conquests depopulated entire regions. The Mongol expansion under Genghis Khan devastated Central Asia, while creating the largest contiguous land empire in history, an empire where a traveler could move safely from Korea to Eastern Europe. Still, each empire left its mark in law, architecture, language, and legend. And though most would fall, they built the stage for the next great transformation, the discovery of new worlds. Empires rose, but the world beyond remained a mystery. New horizons called, discovery awaited, and with it, a world poised for transformation. The quest for knowledge and for power would cross new borders. The 15th century unleashed a tidal wave of exploration and exploitation. Driven by curiosity, greed, and faith, European powers set sail beyond their known world. Chinese Admiral Zheng He had already led massive treasure fleets across the Indian Ocean decades before, commanding ships 4 times larger than Columbus's vessels. Then came Columbus, Magellan, da Gama, their ships crossing vast oceans, linking continents like never before. These voyages were made possible by innovations like the magnetic compass from China, astronomical tables from Islamic scholars, and navigational techniques from multiple seafaring traditions. This global collision reshaped history. The Americas, home to as many as 100 million people and sophisticated civilizations, were claimed by foreign empires. Indigenous civilizations, the Aztec with their floating capital of Tenochtitlan, the Maya with their mathematical precision, the Inca with their engineering marvels, faced conquest, disease, and collapse. Within a century, up to 90% of native populations were decimated by introduced diseases like smallpox, to which they had no immunity. Enslaved Africans were ripped from their homelands in one of the darkest chapters of our story, the transatlantic slave trade. Over 12 million Africans were transported across the Atlantic in brutal conditions. Many did not survive the journey. Their labor built economies and generated wealth that fueled European development and industrialization. But alongside devastation came exchange. The Columbian Exchange transformed diets worldwide. Potatoes from Peru fed growing European populations. Tomatoes from Mexico transformed Italian cuisine. Maize from Mesoamerica became a staple across Africa. Horses, guns, and steel changed cultures. New ideas and diseases spread hand in hand. This era expanded horizons, but also deepened divides. It birthed both opportunity and oppression. It connected humanity into one global system for the first time, a system marked by profound inequality that continues to shape our world. The world was no longer isolated pockets of people. It was becoming one interconnected and contested. Exploration disrupted the world, but it also gave birth to revolutions. As new worlds were discovered, new ideas flourished. Reason took root in the hearts of the people, and the call for freedom began to echo through every corner of the globe. As the Enlightenment dawned in the 17th and 18th centuries, old certainties cracked. Science began to challenge scripture. Empirical evidence triumphed over dogma. Galileo turned his telescope to the stars and paid the price for contradicting church doctrine. Newton synthesized physics and mathematics, revealing laws that governed both heavenly bodies and falling apples. Anton van Leeuwenhoek peered through microscopes at an invisible world of microorganisms. Thinkers like Locke, Rousseau, Voltaire, and Mary Wollstonecraft wrote of liberty, rights, reason, and equality. Revolution followed revolution. America declared independence in 1776, establishing a republic based on Enlightenment principles. France overthrew its monarchy in 1789, sending shockwaves across Europe with its cry of liberty, equality, fraternity. Haiti, led by former slaves like Toussaint Louverture, achieved independence in 1804, the first successful slave revolt in history. Latin American countries followed, inspired by liberators like Simón Bolívar. The idea that power came from the people, not the divine, reshaped politics forever. The Industrial Revolution then transformed economies. James Watt's improved steam engine converted heat to motion, unleashing unprecedented power. Factories rose, cities swelled. London grew from 1 million to 6.7 million people in the 19th century. Railways connected nations. By 1900, the world had over 500,000 miles of track. Human productivity soared, but so did pollution, poverty, and child labor. A middle class emerged. So did labor movements, suffragettes, and the demand for dignity. Workers organized for better conditions, while women in New Zealand achieved voting rights in 1893, followed gradually by other nations. Karl Marx analyzed capitalism's contradictions, while social reformers like Florence Nightingale pioneered modern nursing. The world was being rebuilt, not by kings, but by coal, cotton, and conviction. Science and technology accelerated. Louis Pasteur proved germ theory. Alexander Graham Bell transmitted voice through wires. Marie Curie unlocked the atom's secrets. Sigmund Freud explored the unconscious mind. We had split the atom of progress, and we could not turn back. The revolutions of the past birthed the modern world, where ideas spread across the globe in the blink of an eye. The dawn of the modern age brought both opportunity and challenge, as humanity found itself connected like never before. The 20th century brought astonishing progress and unimaginable pain. 2 world wars shattered illusions of civility. World War I killed 20 million people and collapsed empires that had stood for centuries. World War II claimed over 70 million lives, 3% of the world's population, and revealed industrial-scale atrocity. Genocides scarred continents. 6 million Jews and millions of others perished in Nazi atrocities. Stalin's purges cost millions of lives across the Soviet Union. The Khmer Rouge laid waste to Cambodia. Rwanda saw 800,000 people fall in just 100 days. Nuclear bombs exposed humanity's terrifying capacity for self-destruction, as Hiroshima and Nagasaki bore witness in 1945. Yet in the ashes, we rebuilt. The United Nations was formed to prevent another world war. Colonies gained independence, as Gandhi's non-violent resistance inspired movements worldwide. India and Pakistan emerged from British rule in 1947. African nations threw off European control in the 1950s and 60s. Civil rights movements fought for justice across race, gender, and class. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed of equality. Nelson Mandela endured 27 years in prison before becoming president of a democratic South Africa, and feminist movements transformed gender relations across societies. Technology leapt forward. The Wright brothers flew for 12 seconds in 1903. By 1969, Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface. Penicillin, discovered by Alexander Fleming, saved millions from once fatal infections. Jonas Salk's polio vaccine virtually eliminated a disease that paralyzed thousands annually. Computers shrank from room-sized ENIAC to the personal computer and smartphone. The internet, born as ARPANET in 1969, rewired the human brain, connecting billions in real time. We reached the moon and looked back at Earth. The blue marble photograph showed humanity a fragile blue marble, one home, one species. This perspective helped fuel environmental awareness, as Rachel Carson's Silent Spring highlighted. Pollution's effects and the first Earth Day mobilized millions. But new challenges emerged. Climate change driven by fossil fuel emissions, inequality that left billions in poverty while others reached unprecedented wealth, digital addiction reshaping human attention, and misinformation spreading at the speed of light. The tools we forged now tested our wisdom. In just 1 century, humanity had transformed more than in all the millennia before. The question now was, not could we change, but should we? In the chaos of the modern world, we stand at the edge of the future. Humanity's story is still unfolding, and the choices we make now will shape generations to come. And now, here we are, the present moment. A blink in time, yet holding all of history behind it, and all of the future ahead. We stand on the edge of artificial intelligence, with machine learning algorithms making decisions that affect billions. We explore genetic engineering with CRISPR technology allowing precise DNA editing. We dream of interplanetary travel as private companies and nations race to Mars. We speak to machines. We recreate life. We reshape the very code of existence. But our greatest challenge is not technological. It is human. Can we rise above division in an age of polarization? Can we address climate change when solutions require global cooperation? Can we distribute abundance fairly when billionaires reach space while billions lack clean water? Can we honor the past while building a fairer future? The story of humankind is not over. It continues in each invention, each act of kindness, each choice we make. We face existential questions. Will artificial intelligence enhance humanity or replace it? Will we heal our planet or be forced to abandon it? Will we overcome ancient tribalism or fragment further? We are not the same species that once hunted with stone tools, but we still carry that ancient spark of wonder, of resilience, of hope. We still tell stories around digital campfires, We still look up at the stars with awe. We still dream of better tomorrows. And if history has taught us anything, it's that even the smallest voice can shape the course of everything. From a child planting a tree, to a scientist in a lab, to an activist raising their voice, each of us writes a sentence in humanity's continuing story. In the end, the story of humankind isn't written in empires or inventions, but in the hands we hold and the future we shape together. Across time, across trials, we've always walked forward, not alone but side by side. The journey is far from over, and the next chapter begins with us.